How's it going, everybody? My name is Ryan45678 and welcome back to the Md65 Romanian Underfolder AK build. Last time we got the barrel populated and headspaced, and this time all we have left is riveting the rear trunnion, riveting the trigger guard, and final assembly. And then we shoot it. Enjoy. Now, all that we have left is to be careful with this. Don't knock the front sight out of alignment. Then we have the trigger guard to rivet. And I believe we could do the front trunnion now. I need to rig up a way to do those rivets. I don't have the jig because I didn't want to spend $200 some odd on a special jig just for some of the rivets. So what we got for the long rivets is I'm going to take a air hammer bit and I'm gonna cut off the tip of the tool and then put a place for the head to sit. So I got the paddle bit, spade bit, whatever, this one. I got it cut off. Would have been faster with the angle grinder, but I didn't want to throw sparks everywhere inside, so I just used the Dremel. Took a while, and then filed the edge, and then I center punched here for just about the center. I'm going to drill it out for something about the size of that rivet head. And here's my two parts, the air hammer bit and the bottom support. This one's a little rough, but it's fine. Yeah, I basically just used a couple sizes of drill bits. Big ones for the wider part, smaller ones for the pointy part of the head on the very bottom until it fit about right. So the plan is I'm going to see if I can use this to dimple the air hammer. This is a solid piece on both sides, so I'm not worried about having to support anything. Same with the rivets. I'm not too worried about supporting. I just need to make sure this side gets clamped down good. So the air hammer was a no-go for dimpling. However, the press with these things, these screw heads, was excellent. I might have gone a little bit overboard on the bottom side, because see how it's a little bent in there. It's fine though. But look, these sit very flush. It didn't dimple much at all, just ever so slightly. And with crushing, these should be excellent. Yep, just like that. This one's probably the best one. I should have done the same thing on these. I was just being lazy and I was like, yeah, the vise isn't doing it. I'm just going to chamfer them. I should have gone to the press. It would have been much better. So these are about the ugliest rivets you've ever seen. I had a heck of a time getting the air hammer to make nice rivets. It wouldn't go all the way. I used the press. I had to file my tool down. It's not the right shape. And it's peening time. These are still horrible rivets. They're at least sort of round. Just don't look at them too close, otherwise they're horrifying. But yeah, doesn't look good, but it is functional. So yeah, despite these rivets being the prettiest things you've ever seen, no, they're horrible. I'm taking them out. I bought the cloth tool, long rivet tool, and some more rivets. I want to say that maybe I used a different style rivet here, or the wrong rivet, or maybe I just didn't squish it right. But yeah, these gotta go. And what I'm gonna do is see how that doesn't line up. I think I mentioned this already, but I'm gonna, before I do these rivets again, after I get these off, I'm gonna install the stock, the underfolder stock, as much as I can, get it to align, and then see where the holes need to be filed out to fit the rivets in the correct location. Oh man, I did these rivets so bad. they were squished off center, so I had a really hard time drilling the center of the hole, especially in this one. Piece of crap. The others managed to come out pretty much with the receiver mostly unscathed. That one though, what happened, I think, either when I was trying to punch it out, or maybe when I pressed it in, it mushroomed in between the receiver and the trunnion, and so it was like starting to almost bend the receiver. And so I don't know, I need to locate exactly where this sits and see if I have enough rivet to cover that. If not, I don't think I can weld that. I mean, I could, I don't want to, or I might have to get a new receiver, which I hate the idea of that. Funny enough though, the trunnion came out not too much more damage than it was. This is fine. These other holes though, they were already pretty roughed up from the D-mill originally. It's no worse off. Okay, I know I should have filmed this, but I was just futzing around and I had no idea how to put this thing together, this underfolder. I'll try to link a video. There's one by, I forget his name, but he does a Polish underfolder, and the only difference really is that he has external locking lugs on his, as well as an internal, and so he has an extra pin that he has to put in. Otherwise, it's essentially the same. The only thing that's difficult is lining up the pins, because all these pinholes are different sizes. And what I found is that this one, I ended up having to take the pin that goes in there, not this hole that the pin's in it, but, and use that to tighten it further so that it would line up. It would line up with the hole, so that I could use that bigger hole. I guess you could drill any of the holes bigger if you wanted to, but that one I actually ended up driving in from the bottom. Yeah, see, from the bottom, and I still couldn't quite get it to go into the top hole. It just doesn't line up quite straight, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. But for now, maybe I'll punch it back out a little bit, try to get it straight. But anyway, I'm most likely not going to take this back off. I'm going to oil or grease it once I do final assembly. But we should be able to get to the rivets now to do these, and I'm not too worried about that. It may look bad, but there's two sides of a rivet here, two sides of a rivet here. If it looks ugly, it looks ugly. I am not going to weld that, and I am not going to buy a new receiver and just to fix that one egged hole. We are not going to do that. And I think the rails will hold it in well enough. So it does look like I will have to widen these up higher, which is a good thing. I installed this first before doing the rivets, because it doesn't fit. That hole is definitely large enough to fit a rivet because it had one in it. Same thing up here. It can sort of fit, but it's at an angle. It needs some more up top removed. Similar thing on the other side, I think. Hold on. Got this one. Awful. This one actually goes. I don't need to do anything extra to that. Doesn't look horrible. It's probably going to show some of that, which is unfortunate, but this one actually goes in too. So I don't need to do anything on this side. So I'm not sure that it actually needed as much as I thought, because one thing I keep noticing is that these rails keep popping out. So I have to keep tapping them back in. But these now go in very smoothly. And let's check this side really quick. This is not the head that will be on there, but actually, yeah, that looks kind of bad, but it'll just be a little bit bad. If the head is anything like that, it'll show a little bit of hole, but it's not the worst thing that could happen. Dang, that sucks, but I'm not gonna do it. So I'm doing the best I can to line this up. The front end needs to pick up. I need to find something, but that's snug in there. That's a little bit crooked. I need to line that up better. Probably tap it, maybe loosen it a little bit and move it over and then tighten it again. That's kind of what you got to look for. Make sure it's straight. Oh yeah, the other main thing I was going to say is since I have the underfolder installed, there is clearance there, just so you can see. And this is actually fairly straight on there. Honestly, the rivet needs to squish with it this way, like more to the right, I mean the left. But the hole I want to cover is to the right. But that's the incorrect position, so I'm going to hold it straight, regardless of what it looks like. I want it to be a good rivet, because I don't want it to go off to the side and have to undo it again. Here's another good view. You can see that it does need to pick up that much, and it'll be fairly straight on there. All right, looks like it's going pretty well. I did have to tweak it a little bit because it seemed like it was going off center. I don't know if I actually helped it, but I did put the set screw down some so that it has more room to work with and more support for the pressing piece. So we'll see how that goes. It's kind of honestly hard to tell how straight it is. I don't know, it looks kind of crooked still. I think we're good. It does look like it wants to tip at certain points, but it's forming and it's not really off as far as I can tell. Seems like it's kind of straightened itself out when it started forming the actual head of the rivet. All right, so that's a rivet done. This side I need to clean up peen a little bit because I went a little bit too ham on it. But the bad side, it kind of came over to the top a little bit, and it ended up leaving a gap on the bottom, which is, even that is not that much to see. It just looks a little bit messed up, but not too bad. I am happy with that. Let's do the other one. Here we go. I did not overcrush this one, and look at the back side. That is pretty. It's a good rivet. I'm happy. So I got these in there on the jig. Got this one on there, but not being pressed yet, just to line it up. So I'm having to modify the push plate. I don't know what you call it, the squish plate for the bat. That right there is in the way. I modified it a little bit for the galil for a similar reason, but it won't go all the way. So I need to cut out like right in the middle, just a slot for that, so it's not in the way. Much better. It's kind of hard to show, but yep, it drops down in there. No problem around that. Looking good. Sorry, I won't focus on it, but these rivets turned out halfway decent. The only thing is, on the underside, I had so much trouble getting, especially focus. Look at these right here. Because I needed clearance for that, I wasn't able to squish them evenly. So there's a little sticking up portion, but they're so small, I don't think they're gonna impact anything. This one, just about perfect. If anything, squished a little bit too much, but I'll show you MagFit in a second. So this is a Circle 10 mag. I think it's brand new. I don't remember. I think I got it from our Robert RTG. It snaps in just fine. However, look at that. Doesn't want to come out. It will. You just have to absolutely wreck it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these lugs. See, it's already worn down here. I'm going to sand and file down here. Possibly here, maybe around the corners, because it's obviously catching up. However, it's not a rifle problem. It's a mag problem, because this is a piece of crap rusty Romanian mag from RTI, which actually is not, I give it a bunch of crap. It's only got a bunch of rust. That's it. It's probably still functional. Locks in, comes out easy. So there you have it. Next is basically assembly, just the fire control group. I have a Rack 1 fire control group. For a little bit, you could find those on, I think I got them from Cheap in the Dirt for 35 bucks. I just didn't like the look of like the FIME and the whatever other trigger, US triggers there are out there, because they don't look like the original. They're straight, or they got a weird curvature to them, and I'd rather have something that looks like it fits, and those do. Other thing is the piston. I believe, I don't remember if I actually bought a Canis piston for this one yet. I don't think I did. Or if I did, it's in the box somewhere. I will be doing that. I may, depending on if I have one already, I may shoot it first and then put the piston on later once I get it, if I don't have it. But yeah, essentially this rifle is complete other than assembly. Assuming nothing goes wrong with the trigger group assembly, it's pretty straightforward from here. All right, so that one I filed kind of everywhere. Filed flat here, filed flat here, that helped. It's still binding a little bit, but I can at least get it in and out, or I can get it out by normal use. So I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll just be a difficult one. And maybe eventually I'll figure out exactly where it's binding, because I'm not entirely sure. Okay, yeah, a couple more swipes at this bottom part really did the trick. It's pretty smooth now. I could probably swipe it one more time. It's a tiny, you know, that feeling of where it's stuck, where it's friction, whereas normally this is just pretty free. It just pops out. There's a tiny bit more of that, but before, I mean, especially if you pull down on it, but largely it's pretty smooth, and it'll probably wear in. So as long as you don't like gorilla handle it, it should be okay. And behold, we are finished. Doesn't look much different. One thing I would note is when I went to put the grip nut in, I did not need to take, everything on the stock off. I did take this off, but turns out you really only need to remove the internal locking lug. So the pin that holds the push button assembly. So this pin right here. Of course, you knock it in from the other side with the grip off, because there's a hole. The hole, I was wondering that if I was like, did I forget a rivet? Or is there something that goes here? Well, it's a hole, so you can actually punch out that pin, which lets you take this push pin and spring out, which allows the locking lugs to move freely. And there's actually enough room, it allows it to move freely. And if it goes up, there's enough room to pop that nut in there. Then the trigger, I put that together wrong like 4 times because I'm stupid and I forgot how an AK trigger goes together. You just have to get the spring orientation right. Just find somebody's video on a Rack 1 or just an AK fire control group. Definitely don't try putting the hammer in this pinhole, because it goes in this one right here. And make sure you put the hammer spring down after the little tails that you usually hook onto the back of the hammer. Put those down only after you put the trigger and sear assembly on, because I mean, you could probably, no, you couldn't pop them back up. I don't think. You might, yeah, because it goes up, these at least, they go over the pin. So you could probably put the pin in there by lifting up the spring if it got in the way. And then you would just need to pop the spring over the leg of the trigger, because for one simple reason, that acts as a trigger reset. So Anyway, there is a small issue right now, and I'll do it with the top cover off so you can see it, hopefully. It's only when racking. See, look, the bolt has popped up off the rails. So the reason for that is the hammer is pushing it up, and for whatever reason, I'm thinking that maybe the receiver is tweaked a little. I may have to try and fix that. But other people who've run into that, they said it could be caused by a weak recoil spring. It could be caused by just stacking tolerances with the rear trunnion and where this thing sits. I've even seen some of the other people said just try a bunch of different recoil guide rods until it fixes itself, or till you find the one that works. The main easy fix is to put a recoil buffer on, which I might do, but to be fair, it works fine if you would be firing it. So fire, it's still on the rails here, so firing would be fine. It's just charging. You'd have to either be careful, not go all the way back, or just make sure you don't let it pop off the rails, or push it down a little bit until it does. Or my brother was able to just rack it really fast, and that did it. So maybe it's just slow racking gives it the opportunity to come up. But it should be fine. It should be functional. It's just annoying. That is the main issue right now. Obviously, I'll need to do the sights. What I will do before I shoot it, I probably won't film it because it's just adjusting the sights, but I need to put this in the center, which you just use a sight tool for that. And then I don't know if I'll mess with the up and down yet. I just want to know that the rotation of the sight block is correct, and I don't want to tweak on that enough to potentially move it before I pin it. So I just want to check the alignment on that. And last but not least, two things. I didn't look for the Canis piston yet. I don't think I bought one, honestly. I know I bought one for the Galil, and it's installed. I'm honestly not sure if I bought one for this yet. But the cleaning rod, which amazingly this kit came with, and this kit is matching. I may leave this out when I shoot it just because it could interfere with the sight block. I don't know. I'll just leave it out for now. But yeah, this rifle is essentially complete. It just needs a test fire to verify the sight alignment. Oh yeah. There was one last thing. The dust cover is loose. Let me put this back for now. It's most likely because of the way I set the sight, or set the front sight block, rear sight block, sorry. I did that by, come on. Yeah, that pops on there. The way I did that was with the rear trunnion sort of kind of halfway riveted in there, which another thing, since I had to move the rivet holes, it did kind of loosen itself before that, I think. I'd have to go back and watch the videos, but it's definitely loose now. I think I showed you already, but you can see there's a gap here. The other side, same gap, but I can push it forward, which leaves a gap here, which I may be able to take this on the bottom of the dust cover and bring it out, but I don't know that I have enough room to work with to really make that work. And honestly, that's like probably the last priority, last on my list of priorities, because it's not that big of a deal. It's already captive with the recoil spring. It's still captive here despite being loose. It's not going anywhere. So it's just annoying that everything else is tight, and I tried to set it, but it was The reason I did it that way was because I needed a way to press the barrel components, like the front sight block, which I had in the barrel block, like the barrel plate like that. And then I had a bar running through the receiver, which if this is installed, I can't do. So unless there was a better way to do it, I don't know that I could have. So for it to be that close, honestly, is pretty good, but I was hoping it would be tight, but oh well, unfortunate. The safety actually does line up pretty good, so I wouldn't want to push it too far forward. Let me see, actually, now that I think about that. Yeah, I actually can't go too far forward without interfering with the safety. It can't go like all the way tight. I mean, I could file the dust cover, but I don't think I want to. So maybe I just leave it. Who knows? It's kind of loose. I mean, it's not loose like it's flopping around. It's just loose like it moves. So, I don't know. Next build, I'll pay closer attention to that, and hopefully it'll be a build where the rear trunnion is not blocking me from being able to do press things. Or I find a better way. So, anyway, this is the Romanian Md65 Underfolder with the reverse dong. Completed. Ready for a test fire. And then after that, we'll get the rifle fully sighted in, make sure it's hitting where it's supposed to. So, range report. Rifle is fine. A couple of things I want to mention. This might get long-winded, so feel free to skip this section if you would like. Anyway, I used brass case, which I happened to get on a whim like a year ago, just because I wanted to. It was Bellum and Cellier and Below, however you say that. Both shot just fine with the surplus piston. No issues other than typical AK chews up brass type thing. It actually shot really well. No malfunctions at all. I did make a boo-boo when I was adjusting the sights. I thought I had set the rear sight to 100. In fact, what I had done is I had set it about in between, thinking that, oh, middle on the line, even though that's not remotely centered. So upon trying different positions, I was like, well, battle 0, which is this furthest mark, that's the lowest it can possibly go. The top of the sight adjuster is on the line, so 1 is going to have to be here. For 100 meters. I zeroed for 50 and 100, which from everything I've read should be the same position essentially. I know it's meters to yards, but it's basically the same. Fight me. So I lowered the sight because it was hitting low until it got up. It was like 3 turns. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do it again. I think it's gonna have to go in more because this sight, the rear sight's going to be raised once I go out again and shoot it at the actual mark. But yeah, no malfunctions, lots of gas. I do have a K&S piston now, and I'm going to be installing that. But in the meantime, I'm going to be drilling and pinning the sight, front sight post, just because, well, that's the entire reason I didn't before. I wanted to go to the range and see where it was hitting, and if you hold the sights where they're at, which I tried with the tool to get this to go centered, it's stuck or something. I need to hit it with penetrating oil or use the press to get it started. I could not get it to budge, so With this to the right, it was hitting left just a little bit, a few inches, so it needs to go left, and so that's about what I expected if it was centered. So oh yeah, the other things were regarding alignment of the parts, and so mainly to do with the dust cover. So as you can see, I was not happy with this gap, which I think is mainly due to the rear trunnion, just because of funky alignment. But looking at the rest of it again and again and seeing what other people's or what a normal rifle should look like, I don't think I could have done much better, because these line up. These are straight, which I know they probably don't have to be perfectly straight, but they look lined up enough. And if anything, it's further back. This one is a little bit further this way than this one, which is a little bit this way. So they line up, they're fine. I had already gotten the gas block tight to the gas tube and the rear sight, and they were already pinned, so there wasn't anything I could do there. I think the amount that I would have had to push the sight block, the rear sight block, back, back, to get this, to close this gap, this would have been like visibly off. And so I'm okay with there being some gap here. If I really wanted to, I could probably take the bottom side of the dust cover and just take it, bend it out a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to. It's fine. It comes off easily, goes on easily. The other thing, the safety, see how close that is? Even if I were to adjust that to close this gap, the safety wouldn't fit. So either way, I'm gonna leave it. I'm not worried about it, and I'm not gonna, I mean, it's fine. It works, and I don't want to mess with it because it's fine. But anyway, yeah. All that to say, I am very happy with the way this rifle shoots. I did order some Igman brass, and the reason I'm shooting brass and not steel case is because of the bimetal jacket. I did ask the people at my range, and they said they would prefer bimetal jacket ammo not to be there. But the main thing is that they don't want it to spark. And so my fear would be that I would go to try to shoot that and it would spark, and then I can't use the ammo. So I might as well, it's a little bit more expensive than steel case. SG ammo currently didn't have the best price. There was a place called Wild Horse Ammo that, as far as I can tell, has the best price right now. If I like it and it shoots good and fairly accurate for what I'm doing, then I'm going to order a bunch of that from them. The other one that SG Ammo had for a fairly good price currently was the S&B, the Cellular and Below, and they were out of stock. So I think that was like 55 cents per round. The Igman there was like 57 or 58. But on Wild Horse, they had free shipping over $200, and I think it came out to like 48, 49 cents a round, something lower. Not ridiculously lower, but it would add up to about $50 difference for a case. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be ordering bulk if that ammo works good, which I think it will, based on what everyone else that I've seen says about the Igman. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's drill and pin this front sight. I'm still upset that I banged on it so hard that I left marks on the front. But honestly, with the muzzle device, you're not going to see it. I almost got ahead of myself. I wanted to check headspace as well. This is a no-go. We are still firmly a no on that one. Let's check a go. Here's the go, and we are still on a no, which it actually seems a lot tighter than before. I'll have to check the video. It may not be any different. But the fact that it fires and it chambers ammo, it's obviously good. So it's not gone out of headspace, which is all I care about. So this is my kind of janky setup. I've got a 3mm end mill in there. This thing is clamped. There are little notches here, not enough. I couldn't find my V-blocks, but I think they would be too wide anyway because the gas block and the sight would get in the way. So I needed to clamp on the barrel itself, cardboard to protect it. I got it as straight as I could by eye and feel, and it does go in the hole until it hits the barrel. So that's going to be good enough for me, at least for the one side. We'll see how far it gets. I have nothing else that'll start the hole to where a drill bit might go straight. So one thing I've noticed is that it's pretty hard to index level with this thing. I'm sure you could use an instrument, which we have somewhere. I just don't know how to use them. And I don't know how precise this is. I don't know that I could say that this is flat, because to me it almost looks like the sight goes like this at the top. So what I ended up doing was taking this. I mean, you can see the sight if you look down it. Like if you look down this way, as if you were looking down a sight, you can see the sling swivel, whether it's level, and you can see the sight, whether it's straight. You can almost kind of line the sight post up with this to see straight, but and you can also kind of use the dong and the pistol grip. So anyway, that went about halfway through, maybe a little bit further. I'm gonna do the other side. This is the other side, by the way, and then I'm gonna see how that goes. I may ream it out with a drill bit first, just to make sure, but I may just go straight to the reamer. We'll see. Yeah, anyway, that came out much better than I anticipated. I knew it would be better than a drill bit freehand, like I did for the gas block, but for being guesswork, that was pretty dang good. See, yeah, I'm gonna go through that with a drill bit and a reamer, I think, because I did it from both sides. I need to make sure it lines up on both sides, and then ream it out to perfection, but not too much so that the pin doesn't fit. So I'll test fit the pins first. If they go in pretty smooth, I may not need to do anything first. All right, I've got it chased with the drill bit and reamed out with the reamer. I did have to chase it a couple times with the drill bit for the reamer to fit, but the reamer did go in there, both sides. And the pins, show you, should press nicely. They may be going a little bit farther than they should to start, but they'll press in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but every single pinhole I do, that seems to be the case, but they are tight. And before I forget, which I definitely didn't almost do, let's install the slant brake. So basically the pin goes in there with the spring, and you need to leave a gap for the sight pins. Sorry for the awkward, messy angle, but that's the only place I can do this where you can actually see it, because if I move the AK any further off the bench, it'll fall off. So let's see if we can't do this right the first time without dropping anything. Put the spring in there. And I believe the big side goes out. We will find out shortly. This is left-hand thread too. And again, I don't think you can see it, but and anyway, it's in the position where it would be pinned, so it that'll hold it while I pin it, so I don't have to do some weird thing to clamp that down so it's in the right position. There we go. It's pinned. And I'll tighten this a little bit more. And this one is kind of messed up. I don't know if it was like that already or if I did that, but this one's fine. So I imagine maybe it got wallowed out. Maybe my hole didn't go in straight on this side. The other side's fine. I'll show you. Yeah, the other side's perfect. If anything, it's still sticking out a little bit more, but that's fine. Yeah, that's good. Next up is the K&S piston. And then next range trip, I'll dial this in with gas and sight it in better. So the first thing you got to do for the K&S piston is you got to find the rivet on the bolt carrier holding the old piston on, which you can sort of see a circle right there. That's the rivet. So what I'll probably do is center punch that for reference, because it's really hard to see. Same on the other side. Center punch that one. In fact, that one is even harder to see. Right there. And then take this and center that up as best I can with an end mill and try to get that started. Anyway, that's what I've got so far. It's kind of like an oval shaped indent in there, so I don't know if that has gotten the head out enough to punch it. I'm going to try. If not, we'll go back to the mill. And I'm also not sure how deep the rivet head is, so hopefully I didn't drill into it too much, but we'll find out. Ah, it's out. Looks like I didn't do too bad. Just this edge, which is part of the rivet, which I saw coming off, and actually, I don't think I damaged it. As you can see, hopefully. I think it's fine. That's the side I didn't mess with. Come on. And that's the side I did mess with, not too bad. If anything, I might have gone a little bit deep with the drill bit, but nothing more than it's already had. Perfect. And here's the little rivet. That is, wow, that is super thin. Next time I know, come on, focus. Next time I know that the head is very small, you basically only need to drill the center of it, maybe an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch deep. Not bad at all. All right, next part should be pretty easy. You pretty much just unscrew the old piston. Crunchy. I probably could clean up the threads. I may run something in it, but yeah, just in case. But really, it's not that bad. And then you put the new piston on. And I remember somebody saying something about a gap when I was doing my Galil piston. Could be wrong. But I mean, you don't want it tight. I know that. The original piston is not tight. There we go. So that's all the way. I guess if you wanted to, you could do that, but I don't think it's made to do that. I think you are supposed to leave it out a little, because it does need some flex. Like, you don't leave it out a ton, but like, I don't know, the old piston was out like maybe this much. Let's see. I'm going to consult and see what other people say before I do that. Okay, this does sound very familiar from when I did the Galil, but basically you look through the hole and see when they're centered. So, but here you can obviously tell if it will focus. You can tell. Come on, yeah, you can see it's off center a little bit that way. So if we do it like that, it's still a little bit to the left, so I'm going to take it out one more. And that's about perfectly centered. Yeah, about like that. Any more left or right, and it would be not quite centered with the hole. And that looks about like what I remember seeing for the original piston, so we'll go ahead and pin that. They give you 2 pins. They look the same size to me. They could be different width, diameters, I'm not sure. They are the same length. They look like the same width, so I think they're the same. They just give you 2 in case you lose one or drop one or something. But it should be very, very simple. I do have my roll pin punches somewhere else, not with me. Yes, this punch is bent, but don't worry. Doesn't seem to want to go in there. There we go. It was mainly just getting it started was difficult. And it is a roll pin, so that little initial squeeze is always tough, because that's what holds it in there. That's what makes it roll. Let's go a little bit more, make it even on both sides. That might be it. That pin is not really... Okay, it needs to go a tiny bit more. The pin should be a little bit longer, I think. I'm not super thrilled with the length, but it does touch on both sides, I believe, or at least one side. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, okay, that's installed. I would ideally like a little tiny bit longer pin, but that's going to retain it. Okay, yeah, I think I'm overstating it, because where the shoulder of the bevel from the rivet hole ends is not necessarily the end of the thick part. So it is holding it. And what we'll do is, I forget which way is open and which way is closed. Let me see. This is open. Okay, yeah, we're opening the gas to let it flow by. So their instructions actually say to leave it fully closed and then open it up in increments of 5 until okay. I see what they're doing. It's sort of like an FAL. You usually start with an FAL all the way open so that you're bleeding off all the gas, and then you increase it until it's just right so that you're not overgassing to start and like damaging your parts. But full gas for an AK doesn't really matter because that's the default state. So I see what they're saying. They say start closed, so full gas, go into the piston, and then you open it up in increments of 5. Someone else said 10. That's just faster. And once it fails, then you close it back up in smaller increments until it's reliable. I'll do what they say. I'll leave it open, because on my Galil what happened is full open, or full closed, as in full gas, nothing bled, I think it needed like 5 more clicks open. It was already reduced gas with this piston, although I didn't try it with the original piston, so I don't know. But I'm assuming it would have been harsher, because what I've heard is these pistons will reduce the gas a little bit by default, even fully closed. And so, yeah, I'll just do that. I'll see how it goes fully closed. Turn it down, see how it does. See how it does. And see how it does. See how it does. And let's say it fails here. Click 2. Let's say it fails. Let's say it cycles. Try it a few more times. Maybe one of the times doesn't fully cycle. Maybe it does. But since that's the first time it cycled, I would bump it up probably at least 2 more clicks. And then what I did with the Galil, which was really cool, is take slow motion video with the top cover off and see where it's actually hitting. Because it could be that you bump it up 2 clicks or 3 or 4 or however many, and it's impacting the back. And ideally, I'd like it to be just barely not hitting the back. And that would be super nice. So anyway, we'll see if we can get that.